From words to action. This is the path Kazakh journalists have to make in order to obtain access to information thoroughly concealed by officials. Quite frequently, the publication of data like that leads to criminal cases against reporters. Kazakhstan still has no laws regulating the public access to information, which not only keeps the public eye away from the socially important documents under the pretense of confidentiality, but also serves a tool for silencing journalists if they get too noisy.
The consideration of a law on the access to information has been postponed for 1 year. At the same time, officials from the Communications Ministry decided to ignore the thematic roundtable. Thus, the authorities' position on the issue remains unknown.
Department head cannot attend the roundtable with representatives of the civil society, diplomatic missions and MPs. Why is he so busy? I brought the apologies on behalf of the Vice Minister as he couldn't make it. We need a prominent representative here who can actually influence the discussion.
State officials often hold campaigns for journalists that can be summed up with the slogan, "Say no to the freedom of speech." It literally requires digging through bureaucratic nuances to find the truth.
In overcoming these barriers, we often face the physical, moral and material challenges as well as the loss of time. And sometimes we are forced to apply informal methods to access the information. Using this loophole, state bodies take advantage of similar situations and decide on their own whether or not to grant information access.
At the same time, the law on the leader of nation limits the freedom of speech quite substantially. Ekaterina Belayeva, a journalist of the newspaper Vzгляд, The View, was arrested and charged for speaking up against it.
We'll be appealing the detention.
Either good things or nothing at all can be said about the leader, otherwise a speaker can end up in jail for 3 years. However, even in this situation, many observers seem to not notice anything extraordinary about the matter.
Since the law on the leader of nation has been already adopted, the press can wider discuss the violations in the state policies as part of slander decriminalization.
Meanwhile, Kazakhstan is one of the 3 CIA members that have no laws regulating the access to information, along with Belarus and Turkmenistan. Considering the practices of Kazakh authorities, the reality makes the perspectives of the issue seem quite pessimistic.
The trial of a public activist Yermek Narımbayev is turning into legal confusion. The family and friends of the oppositionists joke that Narımbayev is now guarded better than the president himself. Find out more details of the Tuesday's hearing from the next report.
On Tuesday, the Almaty District Court continued the proceedings on the case of a public activist, Yermek Narımbayev. After the long examination of fabrics and fiber features, specialists could not establish with all certainty who and how tore off Captain Aubakirov's stripe. Quite possibly it was done by the handcuffed suspect Narımbayev, or maybe not.
I was holding his hand like this and then he bent it from one side. I didn't even know that my pocket was torn apart. I noticed it later. So it happened like that, and through these actions, so I threw him on the floor. So can a person tore off a stripe and a pocket in one motion? It could have been one motion or two. The fabric shows some tension on both sides.
The second charge was questioned by the medical expert, as the alleged victim, Lieutenant Mukhit Sidikov, had no sores on his chest after the examination.
Did he show you the chest?
Yes, I have fully observed him.
Did he complain about the pain on his buttocks?
He complained about pains on the right hip and right elbow. In the meantime, philologists agreed that the phrase spoken by the suspect, quote, "Judge, if you have no shame, then you don't care about anything. All of you are corrupted and shameless. There is no justice. Disgrace to the court," has a negative assessment of judge's professionalism. However, experts never heard it spoken and only heard about it.
The defense asked for full acquittal of the accused during the debates over the so-called statistician's case on Tuesday in Astana. Just a day prior, the judge listened to prosecution's arguments and demands to sentence the vice president of Kazakhstan's Chamber of Commerce to 10 years and 2 statistics agency vice chairmen to 7 and 6 years of imprisonment. The defense has called all the accusations against the businessmen and state officials fabricated and groundless. Serik Turjanov's attorney Venera Nurgaliyeva said that the signature of the defendant on one of the documents is a fake, even though a legal expert confirmed its authenticity. Former deputies of the statistics agency Nurman Bayanov and Birlik Mendibayev are charged with assisting in the embezzlement of state assets during the 2009 census campaign, while Turjanov is accused of appropriation and spending of property entrusted to him. According to the prosecution, the amount of damages exceeds $5 million. It is unacceptable that the actions of Turjanov as a person who assisted the crime are not specified in any way. The charges against Turjanov are based on unsubstantiated and unfounded assumptions of the prosecution authorities. The second case of a minor's death in Karagandah's Kazakhmys mines has been seemingly ignored by all relevant bodies. Labor unions didn't make any noticeable statements, and the prosecution office was even less interested in inspecting the corporation on its compliance with the safety regulations at workplaces. Meanwhile, everyone, including the employer, state bodies and public organizations, are waiting for the results of the official investigation.
3 workers died as a result of a Kazakhmys mine explosion. This is the second case of similar accidents at the corporation this year, causing the death of 8 workers in total, which is twice as much as in the last year. A criminal case was initiated upon the last accident, although no charges were brought against specific people so far.
Only the inspection will identify those responsible, but both workers and management of Kazakhmys will be questioned.
An ex-deputy of the Karaganda Regional Administration, Dmitry Baiko, claims that for the last 8 years, none of the regional councils have brought up the mine security issue. The politician is confident that as long as the country is ruled by one party, the emergencies will continue to occur.
Unfortunately, the party cannot criticize the Temirtau or Kazakhmys corporations because it lobbies these organizations, and other candidates are not allowed on the field.
It's not easy to obtain neutral comments from the region's administration, as both of the deputies representing Satpayev town are the ruling Nuratan party members.
We spend millions of dollars annually to foster the working security in Kazakhmys by updating its equipment, but unfortunately accidents like these still occur.
According to Dmitry Baiko, a few appeals from individuals is sufficient for the prosecution office to initiate unscheduled inspection of the corporation's safety system. However, right now no one seems to be doing it.
June 22nd is a day of commemoration all over the CIS and Europe. Exactly 65 years ago, this day marked the official beginning of the World War II. The military rarity items exhibition tied to the date was held in one of the central parks of Almaty.
On June 22nd, at 11 a.m., one of the fascist soldiers was neutralized in front of school children, right in Almaty's Central Park. The Jalgas Association activists, along with the members of the Turkestani Striker Club of military and history enthusiasts, have recreated a World War II episode. This way, local pupils could learn about the war not only from textbooks, but also from testimonies of war veterans.
The veteran told us how he fought against Hitler's army and drove a tank. I know that the Nazis started the war and Russians have pushed them out of the country. The war began outside of Russia in 1939 when Hitler has occupied Europe and planned to do the same with Russia.
More information about the war was available at the Rarity Items exhibition. It featured a variety of war-related items, including military uniforms, wartime music collection, and even real army tobacco. All of these exhibits could be touched, and each of their stories can be heard from the collectors.
Earth and timber machine gun emplacements like this were used in the beginning of the war for the defense purposes and to provide troops with backup fire. They were equipped with communication and provisions, as well as the famous Degtyryov's machine guns.
The event organizers propose to hold similar war commemorations more often than once a year during official celebrations. The war is not only about the troops and commanders, but also about 16-hour-a-day labor in country's plants and factories.
Our message is that people should not remember veterans only once a year. We should communicate with them more often, as when they die, they take away parts of the history which can never be restored.
According to the official statistics, about 1.6 million soldiers were drafted from Kazakhstan to fight in the World War II. Only about 500,000 returned. June 22nd, the day war officially started, is marked in many cities of Kazakhstan with many different events. One of them is the planned motor race across Kazakhstan, Russia and Belarus.
These were the latest updates from Kazakhstan. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.